Okay, so another D&D storytime video, because you guys seem to really like the last one. So my friends and I got together for a friend's birthday party, and instead of playing one of the normal D&D campaigns we typically run, we ran a one-shot! Yay! See, one of our DMs, Nate, actually was the one who ended up running the whole thing, so we ended up calling the whole thing a Nate Night Battle Royale! Besides all the Fortnite jokes we made, we ran it in a way that had it so we all got assigned random classes based on dice rolls, and it was every man for themselves, you know, like a typical battle royale. The classes that ended up being a thing were surprisingly fun to play, mainly because we basically never played those classes before then. We were all level 10, and I was a wizard. My friends consisted of a fighter, a ranger, a paladin, and then the most concerning of classes were my friends who played a rogue, a barbarian, and a druid! If you don't know why a level 10 druid is extremely concerning, as well as a level 10 barbarian and rogue, well, you will definitely find out by the end of this video whether you like it or not. So we start the battle, and the two most predictably strong classes start to fight. So the druid polymorphs into a T-Rex, and then the barbarian starts fighting the T-Rex, and the rogue just gets the hell out of there. And then me and Lindsay, who is playing the fighter, team up, because teamwork, and then we start adventuring around the field. After looking through my spell list, because this was literally the first time I've ever played a wizard, I decided to cast Elemental Bane on the ranger, thinking they would be easy to take out thanks to the stigma of rangers being boring and weak to play. The spell essentially made them extremely weak to fire, and I mainly picked that because wizards have a lot of fire-based spells. So the fighter and I start to move towards his ranger. In the process, the ranger finds a little room and decides to hide in it like it's a little hidey hole. And the paladin, who has literally never played D&D before this point, decides, after hearing notes from other players, to try to push me in the lava when we were passing nearby a lava pit. Some way, somehow, I don't know, I managed to roll way higher, although my strength score was a measly 10 compared to their 16. So I just got nudged a small bit, and the fighter, after seeing this, shoved the paladin in the lava. And then after they got out, they decided to push the fighter in the lava. And this went back and forth for a really long time, until eventually they took a truce of some sort, and then the fighter killed the paladin. But before this death happened, we clipped back to the druid and the barbarian. The barbarian and druid are just tanking damage as well as giving out, you know, like you'd expect. And eventually, the barbarian decides to go towards a pit nearby and put their hand in one of the water pools. You want to know what happened? You want to know what happened that I literally called out in a group chat, because we were teaming, but whatever, in a group chat right before he did this? Well, if you've seen Critical, you probably already know it, but the water was acid! So the guy who actually did this was the same player that, was Jay in my last storytime video, which you shouldn't be that surprised about if you've seen that video. But anyways, the barbarian's lower arm / forearm / hand area gets full on disintegrated, and they finally get a great idea after screaming in agony because, you know, your hand's missing. They decide to take their battle axe, you know, like you do, and they, shove it in their stub. Yup! Eventually, after some more damage dealing and damage taking between the druid and the barbarian, the T-Rex threw them into the acid. Who could have guessed? So the barbarian surprisingly was the first one dead, and the paladin died second. Then the ranger and druid started to tag team up, and things started to hit the fan. The ranger starts planting all these different terrain spells around the area that limits the fighter and I, whether it's verbal or just like being blinded or whatever. And the rogue is still just gone, and they're looting every kind of room they can find, which there's not that many rooms, but they're looting everything. And they haven't been hit at all yet, so they have at least 3 greater healing potions. Also, we don't know where they are and we haven't seen them, and haven't bothered looking yet because we all did not know at this time rogues were very OP. After this game, we realized rogues were OP. After this game, I learned I wanted to play a rogue. So the T-Rex, realizing that I'm kind of a threat on the field, starts coming right at me, and I start to realize I have a certain spell. See, after seeing this spell originally, I didn't think I would be able to cast it, thanks to certain things, but the DM said it was perfectly fine for me to cast it, therefore I did, so I cast Telekinesis, which I don't know what level spell it is, but I cast Telekinesis, and I mind moved the T-Rex right into the lava pit and held him there. Eventually the T-Rex breaks free, because, you know, I lost concentration. Of course I did. So, the T-Rex is running at me, full speed, again, and you know what I did? I cast Telekinesis again, because I did that! Hell yeah, man! So, the druid was even more mad. that they have been trapped twice by telekinesis. So they're running at me full speed this time, and they might actually get to me this time, because I just happened to run out of that level of spell slots to cast on. So, the T-Rex runs at me full speed, bites me, and throws me in the acid pit. Because, you know, that's what they would do, because that's a smart choice. So I'm running low on hit points at this point, and this acid stuff does, like, a bunch D6 damage, which D6 is just a 6-sided dice, but basically, if I stay in the acid any more longer, I am dead. I am full on dead. But the ranger decided to cast a little barrier spell, making silence a thing, so I couldn't cast any verbal spells. But I realized I had more spells left. And you know, I had a great idea. So as the fighter and ranger were killing each other and, you know, peeking in and out of the hidey hole, and the druid was just probably doing damage, probably struggling to find the rogue, I had a very stupid idea that could have either ended me super, super quickly, or not so quickly. So, just to let you know how my DM was calculating the damage for all this kind of things. You only took the damage from the lava or acid at the end of your turn, and only if you're in the substance. Typically, it's done at the beginning of your turn, like that's how you're supposed to run it. But at the time, none of us knew what was going on, and that's how he was running it. I didn't question it. Now I know, wouldn't have worked, but that's how we did it. So, it's my turn, and with my last little bits of life, I take my full turn, which involves an action, bonus action, and movement. And I move to a spot in the acid, which my speed was halved, because, you know, technically I was also in liquid, but I was also a torso. But I moved to a spot that is outside of the range of the silence spell. And with my action, I cast Banishment on myself. To make a really long story short, the spell Banishment transports another creature of your choice to another plane of existence for a minute. And if you're questioning why that's really good, it's because it means they're banished for 10 rounds of combat. We're all in combat. And I can cast it a second time! And thanks to not ending my turn in the acid, I lived with 4 hit points for the next 10 rounds! And nobody could hit me! It was great! I mean, people really hated me. But a battle royale is a battle royale. At this point, I went to go talk to other people because, like, you know, I was doing nothing for 10 rounds, but here's what I learned and here's what people told me that went on during then. See, funny thing, when I was away, the rogue actually started attacking people. I know! They came out of the shadows for once. But the rogue starts attacking the T-Rex, the ranger dies by the hands of the fighter, and the druid finally runs out of HP for the 2 wild shapes they did of T-Rexes. And there are 3 people left. I'm still good, though. See, at this point I was actually at the table, and I brought up the joke of the summon woodland creatures flying T-Rex trick. So after hearing that, the druid decided to actually cast summon woodland creatures. And we rolled to see if they were pixies, but instead we ended up with 8 blink dogs that he commanded to search for the rogue, because, you know, they're blink dogs. What are they going to do? They're lawful good. The DM thought they were lawful evil. They're lawful good. Don't think the dogs are evil. Some more combat things, like, you know, hitting each other, went down, and out of nowhere, slowly, the acid pits in the arena start to overfill, and acid starts leaking out onto the fighting grounds, and everything starts to go to crap. See, the people who played Dragonborns got to pick what color they were at the beginning of the game, because DM didn't really write that down, but the fighter was a black Dragonborn. You know, they're acid resistant, but not immune, so the acid rises and people start to die, and the fighter dies eventually, because, you know, can't really do anything, but they were hitting the T-Rex in the process, I think. And then eventually, the druid dies. But where's the rogue, you may ask? The rogue is on the one platform that isn't covered in acid, with no damage taken, 3 greater healing potions in their pockets, and no more acid is rising up past that point. Eventually I forfeit, because technically it was me and him the only ones alive, and when I bamfed back into existence, I would have just fallen in the acid anyways. But yeah, so the rogue won. We got some sick rewards of sorts in that DM's campaign that we mainly play, depending on what place we got, and the final place list was the Druid 3rd, the Wizard 2nd, and the Rogue 1st. And later on, I managed to use that reward I got in this Battle Royale we did to break a campaign by casting one tiny spell. I had 1 shot, but that's for another future story time. And yeah, that was really it. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this, and thank you guys so much for the support on these D&D storytime videos. You probably noticed an increase in viewers on this channel, hi by the way, and the giant art style change compared to the last one. But that's mainly because I've been attempting to get more comfortable with digital art since then. And also it's been like 4 months because I wasn't planning on the last video pulling off like it did. But I hope you didn't mind the more doodly comedic style of drawing because it was a lot faster for this 10-minute long video. Anyways, if you're interested in seeing my art, work in progresses, updates, and more, check out my Instagram and other social medias, links in the description. And thank you guys so much for the support, like and subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you guys in my next artsy video of sorts. Bye! Also, fun thing, I realized that I've never made a single storytime video for our other DMs campaign, so that'll probably be next, but eventually I will get to the time I broke a campaign. But yeah, anyways, bye!